It seems like my journalistic work is completely doomed, and I have no idea how I am going to survive on about telling what is actually going on inside of Russia. Well, that is what Vesti Nedeli TV channel in Russia has said, because Vesti Nedeli quoted 6 journalists who left, 2 politicians, and mentioned 3 Russian independent media outlets. On Sunday, Dmitry Keselov, one of the biggest propagandists of Russia, devoted more than 5 minutes of his Vesti Nedeli program on Russia 1 channel to a story about the consequences of the disbandment of U.S. aid for Russian independent media and NGOs. He cited a journalist and politicians who left Russia and mentioned 3 media outlets. Perhaps one of the largest citations of persecuted media and politicians on state television in recent years. Let's check out what's going on and why the heck does he think that I'm in trouble. Let's watch it together.
Donald Trump and 4 runaway Russian foreign agents resounded like a true alarm. Actually, the word shukar is a thief's jargon from Tsarist times. Shukar in Yiddish means black. In Hebrew, shahor means black. That is, a policeman as a signal of danger, alarm, run. Policemen then wore black uniforms. As we recall, US Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in Europe with bad news. There is a new sheriff in Washington. There's your alarm. And for all these pseudo-Parisian scum calling themselves the opposition in exile, it's a complete alarm. And most importantly, the disconnection from the funding source, because all these independents, without American financing, will simply fade away. And the financing really stopped as a result of the liquidation of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. The publication Moscow Times, recognized as a foreign agent in Russia, provides the following data on its Telegram channel.
Up to 90 Russian organizations, including NGOs and media operating in exile, have lost American funding. This was reported to the Moscow Times by a source in Washington familiar with the financing of Russian organizations by the American government. Some of the largest and most well-known independent Russian media and civil society groups may be forced to completely cease their activities, a source told the Moscow Times.
The English-language newspaper Moscow Times was established in the distant year 1992 in Russia by the Dutchman Dirk Sauer, head of the holding company Independent Media. After the start of the special military operation, the newspaper's website was blocked by the Russian authorities, and the publication itself was recognized as a foreign agent. Dirk Sauer left Russia long ago, but he is deeply attached and doesn't abandon Russian-language media. On the 23rd, the TV channel Dost, also a foreign agent, was expelled from Latvia. Sauer helped them obtain a license in the Netherlands and became the director of the channel. In an interview with the British Financial Times, Dirk Sauer laments that the Americans are dealing a fatal blow to the free press.
There is so much irony in this. Putin has been trying to destroy independent media for God knows how many years. Ironically, the country that supposedly has this freedom of speech is now about to deal it the final death blow.
International Times writes about the difficulties faced by both the publication and the foreign agent Medusa.
It is expected that on Friday a board meeting will be held at one of the largest independent Russian publications, Medusa, which will determine the future of the portal. Other media, according to Sauer, have already begun reducing staff and salaries.
Grant recipients are outraged and criticizing Trump.
Putin cannot help but applaud. The suspension of funding from USAID hit many civil society institutions and practically all independent Russian-language media. I'm not saying that Musk or Trump are Putin's agents. The confidence with which they disrupt the established information balance and objectively minimize American influence has another nature. It stems from ignorance.
Another example of pathetic whining. Andrei Pivovarov, also a foreign agent, an associate of the fugitive oligarch Khodorkovsky, was released in August as part of a prisoner exchange between Russia and the West.
It feels like this story has affected the lion's share of Russian media and public projects. Some are folding programs, offline events are being cancelled, and many simply don't have a safety net to pay for these 3 months from savings or to collect through crowdfunding.
And after the phone call between Putin and Trump, it really shocked the foreign agents.
This is Trump's capitulation, completely contradicting all his vaunted art of making deals. Moreover, he is thanking Vladimir Putin for something else.
Ukraine and Ukrainians, I am so sorry. I thought February 24th was the worst day of my life, but today, February 12th, I feel hopeless.
I believe that today is an extremely gloomy day, and the consequences of this step, this action, this conversation, and the upcoming surrender of Ukraine. And the surrender of Ukraine means the surrender of all the values of the civilized free world.
And here's Ksenia Larina, the one remembered for her old quote, "Patriotism makes me sick with worms and cherry pits."
What a disgusting thing. Maybe I don't understand anything about politics and geopolitics, but everything that is happening under the guise of a ceasefire and achieving peace deeply disgusts me. This peace stinks.
And indeed, even the thought of ending the bloody war between Russia and Ukraine is a tragedy for these people. After all, it fed them.
Yeah, sure, none. Of course, the main problem with the end of the war is that once the war ends, we won't be needed by anyone. Yes, anti-war migrants.
It seems that's how it will be. Should not have been doing stupid things.
Wow, you could see that Kisilov was very happy for the fact that United States right now is talking to Russia, trying to make some sort of a peace deal with Russia and Ukraine. The thing is, he's really happy for the fact that if peace occurs and Vladimir Putin is still in power, all of the people who has criticized Russia will not be able to return. And he's laughing to their faces saying, haha, you guys lost. Our propaganda machine was stronger. But the funny thing is, talking about US aid, is that the fact that the United Russia Party was actually sponsored by US aid. And you can actually check it out in the documents. They helped Russia in the agricultural sector, in the land and private property sector. They've helped Russia a lot. And now they're saying that, oh, look at US aid. It was really bad. It has financed media portals that were talking the truth about Russia. You know, before saying anything like this, you should look at Vladimir Putin, because he's from the United Russian Party. So he was actually sponsored by US aid back in the day. So doesn't that mean that he is a bad guy? Doesn't that mean that he may be an agent, a foreign agent? Does that mean that we need to throw him out? I think that is exactly what Kisilov means. The thing is, he has said that journalists are not going to be able to work and speak out the truth about Russia. But look at me, I'm still working, bringing out the latest news and updates of what is actually going on inside Russia. So I don't know what Kisilov is saying. We can clearly see that he is very happy for the fact that Russia could be in the big winning situation for this, if the negotiations take a turn the way that Vladimir Putin wants it. And the way that Vladimir Putin wants to win this war is to keep the territories that they have captured, and they do not want to be trading them with Ukraine whatsoever. And a little bit of proof about that, so you guys would understand what is actually going on. Lavrov stated that there will be no territorial concessions. Let's check out this video right here.
Do you want these Nazi-like ways while the Ukrainian armed forces act even worse than Hitler's killers? Look at the atrocities they are committing in the territories. And you want to, there was even a thought present during the negotiations about the settlement that some territories need to be surrendered. But how to surrender them? with people, with Russians, or without people, just with the rare earth metals.
So we could see that, first of all, I'm surprised that he's saying that there are Russians living there, because I'm pretty sure in the occupied areas there are Ukrainians living there. So I don't know what he's talking about, but clearly they don't care about the Russian-speaking people, who they have turned into homeless people. Rare earth metals is a different story, though. This can light us up and show us the reality of all of this. This war has begun to take away the most rich parts of Ukraine, the rare metals, the minerals of Ukraine, to make a few more people up there in the Russian government even more rich. And Lavrov definitely has spoken, and he has told us the truth without even knowing about it. So this is a really good example of what is actually going on. What I found really funny and just unbelievable is for the fact that U.S. official response, including troops from non-European countries such as Brazil or China in peacekeeping forces after fighting between Russia and Ukraine ends. You might as well invite North Korea to be the peacekeepers there as well. According to the publication, U.S. Vice President Vance told Europeans that an exclusively European force would be less effective in deterring Russia from attacking. Seems like China is definitely going to deter Russia from attacking. All right, I mean, they're looking for ways to stop this, but putting China in Ukraine is definitely not one of them. This is just unbelievable. Like, what are they talking about? Peskov has also confirmed that a meeting of Russian and U.S. delegation will take place in Riyadh tomorrow. I quote, "The meeting will be devoted, first of all, to the restoration of the entire complex of Russian-American relations and the preparation of possible negotiations on the Ukrainian settlement and the organization of meeting between the two presidents." That is what Dmitry Peskov said at the briefing. The Kremlin spokesman Sergei Lavrov and Putin aid Yuri Ushakov as members of the Russian delegation. According to Interfax, which is a Russian media outlet, the head of the Russian Direct Investment Fund, Kirill Dmitriev, who is linked to Putin's youngest daughter, Katerina Tikhonova, will also be included. So Vladimir Putin's daughter is going to be involved in the negotiations about Ukraine. All of this just looks really sketchy to me, if you ask me. We all have seen the Munich conference, but a lot of people probably haven't. The chairman of the Munich conference called the past forum Europe a nightmare, due to the fears of the U.S. common values are no longer so common. Let's check out the video.
After the speech of Vice President Vance on Friday, we have to fear that our common value base is not that common anymore. I'm very grateful to all those European politicians that spoke out and reaffirmed the values and principles that they are defending. No one did this better than President Zelensky. Let me conclude, and this becomes difficult.
All right, that was a bit emotional, but we could see that definitely the Munich conference didn't go so well for Europe, because they were astonished for the fact that the US wants to go in deep to start the negotiations without even consulting with European allies. Europe sees this as a very bad thing, because they want to be involved in this, obviously, because Europe and Ukraine are in the same place. So they want to take action together. And we could see that Europe is just getting very, very sad about this. I cannot blame them, because it makes sense. But at least we're seeing some steps forward. But I'm just not seeing how this is going to work out, because we could already see Lavrov is going up. Nope. We're not going to be exchanging territories, right? So considering the fact that even if negotiations start, they seem to be very, very long ones, because I really doubt that Ukraine will want to give out the land that belongs to them, and Russia doesn't want to give the land back that they have captured, because that is going to be a big defeat for Russia as well. And on the last news, which is very interesting because we could really see how the Russian government works, because intelligence colonel and MGIMO professor Bezrukov said that Russia has never waged wars of conquest. It has always been a matter of national security. Let's check this out, guys.
Never fought wars of conquest. We always defended ourselves from those who tried to take something from us. And that is probably why there is such a different attitude. For them, it is a business tied to extracting money, gaining influence, and strengthening their system. But for us, it has always been about survival. For us, it is always national security in its most elevated form. I think Trudeau once said, when commenting on the fact that Canada is next to the gigantic United States, I don't remember exactly how he put it, but when there's an elephant sleeping next to you, if it just turns over a little, it can crush you. It won't even realize it crushed you.
Wow, so it seems like Putin's regime is so holy and that they're defending Russia, and they're not doing this for money or to capture any resources. They're just there to save the Russian speakers, although I'm pretty sure those Russian speakers are already mad for the fact that they are being saved right now. But the thing is, just for your information, in Ukraine, Russia has seized territories containing 11% of oil fields, 20% of natural gas fields, 42% of metals, 33% of rare earth deposits, and 63% of coal deposits. Yes, definitely. Russia would never attack another country and try to capture it to make money out of it. No, it just, by accident, it turned out that those earth minerals, it just turned out by accident that those rare minerals were just laying around there by accident, and while saving the Russian speakers, they accidentally stumbled upon all of this. This is what it seems like, and this is very sad, and this is what the Russian news and the Russian propaganda wants everybody to see and hear. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you have found it informative, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys next time.